is linked to nutrient deficiency. Any single disease you have, something is missing. You are deficient in something. Every disease also caused by acidosis. Number 3 is the eighth law of health. You can't be sick if you keep this in right. You must violate the eighth law of health to be sick. Number 4, a channel of elimination. You have to be constipated, and constipation is a blockage. Okay, the mucus can cause constipation in the system, meaning blockage in your bronchitis, blockage in your sinus, blockage anywhere from the mucus. If you have bad cholesterol buildup in your arteries, what do you call that? Atherosclerosis, right? That's a blockage. Okay, sometimes it can become calcified and become trouble. It can be in the heart. Number 5, hormonal imbalance. Hormones are extremely important. Every function in the body is regulated by hormones. Number 6 is toxicity and environmental pollution. So, the toxicity is very deep to understand. Every time you're taking a shower, you're getting seriously intoxicated because you are breathing this gas. Do you notice that when you finish to take a shower, it's like a gas chamber?
Yeah.
But when you was back home, it used to be like that? Welcome to America. Welcome to America, okay? Number 7 is stress. I don't know about you, that is having America win the prize in stressing the whole nation. The best country in the world where you can get stress. Enough. So 90% of disease in this country is caused by stress. Number 8, ignorance. That should be number 1. Because if we want to classify from importance, number 1 is ignorance. We get sick because we are ignorant of how to prevent disease. Make sense? We get sick because we can't even listen to our body to know that something is wrong, to fix it before it's too late. Listen to your body. Number 9 is parasite. Parasite here, even candida, yeast, all of that is part of the family of parasite. Anything that is living off you. But it is true that our body is essentially made of a microorganism. I will not go in that detail. Number 10 is the mind, character, and personality. We are sick because of our incapability to forgive. We just cannot let things go. We cannot let situation be. Some of us, we carry all the load, even of the thing we can't fix, we still carry with you. God creates life. Give it to Him. He cares for life than we do. Give chance to God to take care of His life. The life He has borrowed to us for a time. We need to learn to know we never choose to be born. The one who decides is watching. He's taking care. If we can just submit, He will guide us. The enzyme deficiency. If you don't digest your protein very well, at the same time you have some leaky gut, guess what? You get this protein in your bloodstream, the body look at it as strange thing because protein should be broken down to amino acid. So low level of hydrochloric acid is a big trouble. Number 12, other causes. So in there we have how you are keeping your antioxidants right, everything right. So we use these 12 causes. So you take them one by one to do a serious study about it. Okay? So today we don't have enough time. We cannot go through it. So we're gonna let Sister Karen come to share with us what we need to understand. Last time she talked about acidosis. I want you to know its introduction to it. Okay? Go and start researching about it. Today, she's going to continue with the next one. And then slowly, we are going to go deeper as much as we can. So, Sister Corinne, come up. to help us to understand these things.
What's going on with this? Yeah, she was. Oh, this? Yes. Yes. Yeah.
The Sabbath, everyone. Um, okay, the last time, as Pastor Coco mentioned, we talked about acidosis. Anybody remember what that was? Acidosis. Can you recall who we talk about when we talk about acidosis? Things that cause too much acid in the body.
A depletion of the alkaline reserve in the body.
Okay, depletion of alkaline reserve in the body. Anybody else has a different response? Okay, so, huh?
Balance of the body.
Okay, we could look at it, balance of the body.
So the pH of the body is lower, so it's higher than 7.
Okay, so when the pH is higher than, lower than 7,
Higher than 7.
acidosis is higher or lower?
Higher.
So when it's lower than 7, it's higher, yes. Okay, I just thought that we might just do a little recapping of what we did in the last, presentation. And it's always a great pleasure for me to actually come and share, the different topics. And as Pastor Coco mentioned, we are going through the handout that you presently have, the 12 causes of disease. And the more I research, I mean, the last time I did acidosis, which is on top of the chart, and now that I'm doing mineral deficiency, which is what we're going to look at this afternoon, I am recognizing that mineral deficiency should have been first. That's my recognition, and we're going to tie it in a little bit when we get to the end of this presentation. It's not going to be a long presentation. It's going to really just talk about general minerals. So we're going to describe what nutritional deficiency is. Identify and describe the disorders associated with nutritional deficiency, and how is mineral deficiency related to acidosis. So those are the primary things that we should understand before we leave here this afternoon. So it's to know what nutritional deficiency is, understand how it relates to acidosis, and to look at some of the deficiency and the disease that they cause. Now that middle section, as to how that happened, you're going to kind of do a lot of it on your own, because when I research, I recognize that it's so vast. It seems like every single disease or disorder that we experience is as a result of nutritional deficiency, and that's what it seems like. After looking at so many different video clips, looking at, reading so many different articles on nutritional deficiency, the fundamentals of all our disease based on those research is pointing in the direction of nutritional deficiencies. So that's where we are at. And it becomes more and more interesting when you dig deep in it and you look at how deficiency leads to acidosis. And that's why it was critical for me to include that aspect of it in this presentation, so you could understand that they are not isolated. So I believe that in truth, we should flip the first one with the second one. In this 12 causes of, if they're in any order, it's nutritional deficiency that should come first. Okay, so when we look at nutritional deficiency, as they rightfully say, we understand what deficiency is, and we are just looking at the fact that nutritional deficiency occurs when our body does not absorb or get from food the necessary amount of nutrients that is required for normal maintenance and living. And that's basically what nutritional deficiency, and as long as we're deficient in either one of these primary nutrients, there is always something happening in our body. It's always something. Whether it's as simple as we balding at the top of our head, whether we're getting gray hairs, whether our skin is going south, wrinkles, spots, you name it, it is leading to some. It is as a result of a deficiency, surprisingly. So what you will have to do is to make your own diagnosis and decide. One of the next big trouble that we will find is for us to find supplements that will suffice these deficiencies. And that's where our greatest challenge lies. So what I'm kind of going ahead of myself because it's all, there. So one of the challenge for us is to figure out how we could create our own minerals that are absorbable by our body. So that's something really, really big. It is so big. It's not even something we could wrap our brain around, but it is something that is doable, and it's something that we could do as a group. And that's just a suggestion. And as I said, these are just a few of the disorders that we could come up with, as I mentioned there, that, but every single thing that affects you in terms of whether you want to call it, classify it as disease, disorder, that was not in the plan in the beginning at creation, is as a result of nutritional deficiency. Okay, so we never get sick, in most cases, not in this country, from a deficiency of carbs, fat, or protein. You could really do a extensive research. Nobody ever really gets sick in this country. And I cannot say it never happened, because it has happened in other countries of the world where people are deficient in protein. They might be deficient in, those major nutrients, but not fats, carbohydrate, and protein in this country. It's always as a result of vitamins and minerals. Okay, vitamins and minerals are our primary thing that we are deficient in. Okay, vitamins are essential organic nutrients required in small amounts. We need them in small amounts. We don't make them in our body. And because we don't make them in our body, it's very crucial that our body, we consume them somehow in whatever we take in. So it is crucial that it is we take it in one way or the other in our body in order to sustain good health. Okay? So it is crucial that we get these vitamins from somewhere. Now, vitamins are a group of substances that are needed for normal cell functioning. Now, life exists at the cellular level. All that you see happening on the outer surface is as a result of what goes on in your cells. We are made up of billions of cells, and if the functionality of the cells are not sustained, our existence, our body will not function normally. Okay? It's needed for growth and development, maintenance, and reproductive purposes and lactation. Okay, so these are minerals, the vitamins that we need. Now we have a comparison of our vitamins. Here we have two primary types of vitamin. We have the fat soluble and we have the water soluble vitamin. Okay, so these vitamins are divided in sections because they serve different purposes and the groups are totally different. Okay, so our fat, okay. So water soluble vitamins, these are divided primarily into the B complexes. And I'm not sure if we know what is inclusive in the B complexes, but water soluble vitamins, they are not stored in our body by any means. You take them in and they leave. Okay, so it doesn't matter how much you take in, so you could take large portions in, it passes through your body, the body takes what it needs, and the rest of it goes out the other end. Okay, now, without taking in them, your body becomes deficient. The symptoms occur more quickly because it becomes more evident, because if you don't take them in, there's no other way to get them in, and they don't stick around. Okay, so, and you also have the fat soluble vitamins. This is absorbed in the lymph and may require protein carriers to carry it across the cell membrane. So our cells have little pores on them, just like our skin, and things enter the cell and leave the cell, and some things enter and by what we call osmosis. Diffusion is the primary topic. It goes across by diffusion. But some things require energy. Some of it will just diffuse in the air just like that. But some things require energy. Or fat soluble vitamin requires some energy. It requires a pump to cross over the cell membrane. Okay. Now, without intake, deficiency and signs and symptoms occur slowly for fat soluble vitamin because they last a little longer in the system, and it's possible to live even longer without taking in or you see any form of symptoms that you are deficient in these vitamins or minerals. Okay. Now the B complexes, vitamin C are water soluble, as it says, and it's the vitamins that are not stored in water and must be replaced each day. These vitamins are easily destroyed, washed out during food storage or preparation. So a lot of times we destroy those even before they get in our system, because if we're going to cook anything that has vitamin C, we hear the vitamin C is gone. Okay, and if we store our food, like most of what we eat, for too long, most of what we get to consume, thinking that we're getting some form of vitamin C, is all destroyed because our food is not grown in our immediate environment. It takes weeks and months before it gets here. Or if not, the food is grown in this area and it's stored from 6 to 8 months, a year, and they slowly release it. So in most cases, when you eat your fruits and they start making you fall asleep, you know you're just taking in sugar from those. There's no vitamin C, there's no enzyme, and they're pretty much dead. Okay, B complex group is found in a variety of foods, or grains or legumes, and some of our fresh vegetables. Citrus will give us some vitamin C. And using mega doses of multivitamins or supplement is not recommended. It's not for mega doses. Now these are what make up our B complex. Or B complex include all of these different types of vitamins, and the names are used interchangeably. So we have thiamine, we have riboflavin, and thiamine in B1, riboflavin B2, niacin B3, and these all serve their different purposes in our body. And I'm pretty sure that we are familiar with either one or the other of the name. Now we might not be familiar with that, we might not associate niacin and know that it's B3. These we might not fully know, but we might be familiar with the name. The folates or folic acid, the biotins, B12, and the pantothenic acid, these are what make up a B complex. So when you buy your B complex, these are what should be included in it. Now, the rate of absorption of what you get in a B complex is the next primary problem that we have. That is one of the problems that we will need to dig deeper to see what's in each of them. What are they using to make our B12? What are they using to give us B6? And we're going to see what are the uses of these and what happens to us when we are deficient in any of these. Okay, so those are the vitamins, so are minerals. So minerals are also inorganic, and most of what we live on is non-living. I hope I'm not just using terms. We live on water. Water is not a living thing. We need oxygen. If we don't have those we're gonna die. Oxygen, water, they are all non-living, so we call them inorganic. And the minerals that we need to live as well are also inorganic minerals. And these minerals come from where? Anybody have any idea where they come from?
Earth.
They come from the earth. That's predominantly where they come from. And one of the scientists that, his name is on there, Wallach, he grew up on a farm, and he had seen and is exposed to animals and know what happens when animals become deficient. Now, one of his observations is that these animals have craving. They chew on the woods, like the pen, they will chew on it, they chew on whatever rope, so they're looking for mineral, and it's just a natural thing. Your kids, they will chew on their towels, they will chew on stuff, their clothes, and even grown-ups, they constantly crave as well for it. And a lot of the times our body are deficient in minerals. Minerals is our biggest, one of our deficiencies that is far reaching, and you could do your own research, you could go out and dig for more information, and you will recognize how deficient we are. And he explained, Dr. Wallach explained that when he sees this, what normally happens is that they will give these animals a block of salt and they would lick on it, which would be the mineral that they're deficient in, and they would lick on the salt. And that's something that I know because I have worked with a lot of farm animals. So, my first degree is agriculture, so I had to work with a lot of animals, and this is something that is added. The feed for the chicken, they also have minerals. It is all added minerals to everything. And his thought was that, how is it that his father would do all this extra things for the animals, but he doesn't do it for himself or the people? So, he was like, why can't we treat ourselves as good as we treat the animals? The animals are getting all the minerals from the food, because obviously the animals will not get the mineral from the corn and whatever is grown, the soybean that is grown, the grass that is chopped up. It's obvious that they're consuming this, but they're not getting the minerals from it. And so it becomes necessary to supplement. So if it becomes necessary to supplement the animals that are consuming these, why aren't we supplementing? His father got mad with him and he decided he's going to go a little deeper. So he went on doing research, and thus he came up with all of these, some of these ideas that it is absolutely necessary because our soil has become so depleted over the years. Nothing that we grow in it and label as food, as much as we want to say, our lettuce and our kale and our cabbage and all of this, we label them, they have this name, and they are touted to have all these minerals in it. But in truth and in fact, because they are commercialized crops and they grow for these purposes, you are going to find that they are very much deficient. And if we could come up with a different name for them, then we would not call them food if we were to really figure out what's in them. Okay? So there isn't too much. And I know we look and we say, okay, we're eating healthy. But as I said, if some of us that, you know, quote unquote, claim to be eating healthy, and I know it puts us in a state of confusion. You know, there are a lot of people in the world who live up to 140, 50 in today's world. Maybe not in regular civilization, but in areas where minerals are high, where volcanic eruptions are high, where minerals come up quite a bit. You have like hot bath springs that you will find that these have so much minerals in them. You drink that water, you are getting solid minerals. But you're going to find that most of the food that we eat doesn't have the mineral, and that's why we deteriorate as we do, as you know, and the aging process continues. And no matter how we're eating healthy, and you will hear it, I do eat healthy. But if you really check it out, you look at yourself and you check it out, you're going to find that you're so deficient, it's not funny. Okay? Now, you know, one of the studies, as I said, there are people who live up to 150, 160. And it's usually in areas where we have volcanic eruptions, we have lots of overflowing minerals. There's one of the clips that I looked at, and they were talking about people who drink this water, and the water is not clear like our water. The water looks very white. So that water is touted to have quite a bit of mineral and is quite balanced. And if they use that water to mineralize their soil that their crops growing, and they also drink the water, and that water sustains them so they don't come down with all the disease that we come down with before we get to 50, and they don't suffer the disorder. They're very strong people living up to 150, 160. It's very amazing. Okay, and one of the things that I also come across in the research that I've been doing is the use of ash, or the ash that comes out of this. So that ash is used in the soil in some places, and it really does mineralize the soil to a great, great extent. So if, you know, I was telling Brother Verlis that he could sell the ash from his, you know, it could be one of the ventures, you know, because it's spring, it's coming up. It's the important thing is to educate people as to why do we need to use this. Our soil, the minerals is leached out. It's way below the water table. The big trees like the ones he cut up here, the only one of them that get all the minerals, and the plants are sufficed with mineral. When the wood burn, it's just left with, you have the magnesium, the phosphorus, the calcium, the boron, and all those minerals that the soil is deficient in, and we are deficient. If we put it in the soil, the plant could metabolize it and utilize it, so therefore we can benefit from the plants that we consume. So that's something that we need to take into consideration. Now, minerals. Minerals are necessary for normal metabolism, and metabolism, it has mechanical strength to bones. Okay, component of enzymes and hormones. I don't know if you are getting the picture right now where I was saying that nutritional deficiency should be on top of the list. Now, if we don't have minerals in our system, we're not able to make enzymes. Okay? And that's one. If you don't have enzymes at all if your enzymes are there, they're not working, you can't swallow, you can't breathe, you can't digest your food, your metabolic process is very slow, your digestion is slow, and you cannot get nutrients from whatever you consume labeled as food. Now, you get the picture why minerals are so important, why nutrients are so critical. Now, they function as buffers. When I say they function as buffer, what they do, they help to normalize the pH of our bodies. So when we talk about buffer, in most cases, we're talking about a normal pH when it comes to mineral. So they function as buffers. So if your body's way is too acidic, now your minerals are going to work to help in normalizing pH, because the way our body is designed, it's designed in such a way to, if your level of acidity go to a certain level, your body functions to maintain an homeostasis. Now, minerals are designed to do that. You naturally have minerals in your body. And wherever the minerals has to come from, just like when you're pregnant. If you're pregnant and you're breastfeeding, the milk is not going to be deficient in calcium. You are going to be deficient in that calcium, but not the milk. And this is how our bodies are just so beautifully designed. We do a lot of work to destroy it. That's what we do, more so than anything else. It regulates balance and movement of fluid in and out of our cells. And this is the fundamentals. People who have high blood pressure, it's an imbalance. People who have hormonal disorder, it's an imbalance. It's so many different imbalances that occur within our body as a result of mineral deficiency. It is mind-boggling, and you're going to see for yourself. Okay, on a daily basis, we need 90 nutrients according to Dr. Wall. So here he's saying we need 60 essential minerals, 16 essential vitamins, 12 amino acids, and 3 essential fatty acids. And this is primarily the component of what we need to take into our body on a daily basis in order to sustain our health to the extent where we can yell. Okay? So, and this is really like a summary of some of the disorders that Dr. Wallach comes up with. So when you start getting age spots, it's a selenium deficiency, Alzheimer's, vitamin E, and here he's saying vegetable oil, so we could have our olive oils or coconut oil. Aneurysm is the copper, and these are a lot of the minerals we don't even pay attention to. We don't pay attention to. And someone to get this out. And you could see for yourself, baldness, it's tin deficiency, left alone, one should get result in deafness. These are his research, and he came up with some of these. The handout I'm giving out will give you them, in order. So you have the minerals or the vitamins, and you also have what you experience as a result. Brown palsy, we have calcium deficiency, blindness is tin deficiency, and these are single here, but you'll see a little bit more detail. It's kind of like a summary on the paper that you have. Now, calcium deficiency results in 147 diseases. Now, and over 200 diseases according to Robert Barefoot, and these are two different scientists, so we have different disorders. So this is how deficient we are, but we don't even know. Now, cancer, now here it's talking about vitamin C and E, beta carotene, selenium, and it goes on and on. Cardiomyopathy, selenium deficiency, and all of these disorders, we have so many of them. Cramps and twitches is calcium deficiency. And you can see on that handout where you fall, because the whole goal of this is to understand where I am. What is it that is missing from my body based on the symptoms that I am experiencing? If your hair is falling out, you know that you need to increase your deficiency, your minerals of whatever sort. And as I said, we need to actually, our greatest challenge is to understand or know what minerals and nutrients are we going to use as supplements in order so that our bodies can absorb it, because a lot of what we get is as a result of the minerals we buy in the stores. A lot of them are not absorbable. We're taking them in, but our bodies are not using them as it should. So we're taking all these supplements, but we're not benefiting from it. I was reading something, and there was this guy who has a porta potty business, and he was talking to the author, and he was telling the author that he has so much supplements, like by whatever means the supplements are not dissolved. So there's like a sift in the porta potty, and all these supplements, he was telling them, they are there, and you take them out and you dump them, and there are piles and piles and piles of these supplements that he collect when he's cleaning the porta potties. So we're taking them in one, when they're passing out in the same way they come in, so we are not benefiting from the minerals. So that was just one person who was, talking about what happens there. So the minerals we take in has to be absorbable. If they're not absorbable, we are in trouble. They're not going in our body, we're just taking supplements. Okay, so when we have gray, white here, we have a copper deficiency, heel spur, and as I said, I give you the handout because it's kind of mundane to go through this. If you can identify with what is happening here, then the handout has pretty much most of them and their group in order based on the deficiency. So that should clarify some things for us. All right. So we're going to skip through some of this, and then we're going to look at how mineral deficiency relates to acidosis. Okay? Now, one of the major causes of acidosis is due to the lack of alkaline minerals in the body, resulting in the body being unable to neutralize the acids of metabolism. So there are some minerals that are alkalizing, and those are some of the major minerals that we become deficient in that leads to disease. Now, how did we get here? And we kind of touched on this, that we're eating foods that are grown extensively on areas that are deficient. That is deficient. They are using a lot of fertilizers. Fertilizers serve their purposes, but our fertilizers that we use in the soil is predominantly NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Those are the three. Um, and you will see deficiency symptoms on a plant. If you look, the leaf is yellowing. Any plant you have, the leaves start changing yellow, it means that nitrogen is deficient in the soil. The potassium is is for the root development, and that's predominantly what we're first. But if our soil are deficient in all of this and we have poor root development, the minerals are absent in every sense of the way, then we are in trouble in every corner that we look at it. And that's how we get to this point. You know, that is how we actually get to where we are right now. So the alkalizing minerals are magnesium. We look at magnesium at great length in the past. It plays a very important role in regulating calcium uptake from our bowels, and magnesium plays a vital part in most of the electrochemical reaction that takes place in our body. So it is affecting our nerves. So when we get things like tremors and our nerves start getting weak, stuff like those, magnesium is critical in stabilizing us. Maintaining balance is also something that is important, that's some important function that magnesium plays. So if magnesium is deficient as an alkaline minerals, a lot of our body processes are impaired, which include us being lethargic and a lack of energy for the most part. So that is a big one that we experience, a lot of us experience, because it plays a very, very important role in, as we talk about respiratory acidosis, in the production of energy. And it is through the production of energy that we, through respiration, that we produce energy within our body. So we inhale and exhale, but we don't understand what happened behind inhaling and exhaling. When we take in air, it is actually going towards the process of producing energy. And that's what we get out of it at the end of the day in order to do work. So inhaling and exhaling, we look at it from that perspective, and it's on the surface for most of us, but we understand what happened at the cellular level, then we would know that it's not just a surface thing. The carbon dioxide we exhale is an end product of what we take in. It's an end product, so we exhale that. A lot of people are of the misconception that the carbon dioxide comes in when we inhale the oxygen, so we exhale that. You know, I mean, it's not that it's in isolation. Some of it might be, you know, but calcium is also, so magnesium is an alkalizing mineral. Calcium is also another one. And here we call calcium the knitter. And the knitter mean that this mineral is very important to maintain structure and density in the body. So when your bones look like a strainer, it means calcium is vastly deficient and you are losing your bone density as a result of calcium deficiency. Calcium is also one of the major or primary minerals that maintain a balanced pH within our body. And as when our body becomes very acidic, it will pull calcium. It's going to pull these minerals from the bones, from the joint, wherever it is, in order to, well, or even in your arteries and veins. It pulls it from there, and your body becomes weak as a result of that in order to maintain a regular pH, which will continue the functioning of the body for a little while, but it doesn't mean that all of your body, you're holistically okay. So it is critical that we understand, we listen to our body, we see what is happening to our body, and do something about it in order to maintain good health. Now, it also maintains electrolytes. Now, as you will see on your paper, I think under calcium, it talks about high blood pressure. It's one of the mineral that is deficient when our blood pressure shoots through the sky. But, I would not isolate calcium because they all work together, calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus. And if you were to check some companies, you will get all three of them together because they are so critical in order for the normal functioning. Okay? So the normal functioning of the body doesn't occur in isolation of one mineral. So you could be taking calcium, but calcium is not necessary. It's not necessarily going to be absorbed when you take it by itself. So they come like couples or as a family, they all work together. Okay? So, and it's an electrolyte. It plays a necessary part in enzymatic reaction to control heart function, blood pressure, as well as regulating osmotic pressure in your cell. So that is the essence of it. And if we as medical missionary are going to go out in the field and we're going to help others, it's okay, and it's very good that we understand herbs, but we must understand nutrition as well.
Yeah.
So you can see where this is at the forefront of the battle that we're fighting. Now, the minerals has to be absorbable. That is one of our big battles. It's all good and well to go and say, okay, we're deficient in calcium, so calcium, we need to take some calcium, but which one are we going to take? Which one is going to help us the most? Are we going to make our own calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus so that we can have that one experiment on our own bodies so that we can know what works for us and we walk around as a living example? We could reverse some of the gray hairs that we have. We could reverse some of the hair loss that we have. We could reverse some of the wrinkles we're experiencing, some of the age spot we are experiencing. All of these factors that are affecting us as God's people, if we understand how to deal with it, then we will actually be able to impact others. Now, our herbs, when our herbs are grown in areas, they are also very potent. And a lot of our wild herbs, as we talk about, I mean, you could say wild herbs because a lot of the herbs that we buy in North America, they are cultivated as well. So we're going to find that a lot of them might be deficient in some of the minerals that it's needed, that they should have in them, because a lot of them are used and they are touted as good for X, Y, and Z because of the mineral that they have, and pretty much the fundamentals of it lies in the vitamins and minerals that they have. By the time we get a lot of the herbs that we use, they're already baked, they're already parched, they're already ground up. Now, we're really getting just like maybe the ash, so it might have some magnesium in it, so it might have some calcium and magnesium and some of the minerals. So let's look at it from that perspective, and that might help in neutralizing some of the acids so we can reduce acidosis by taking that in. But I'm just saying it as a hard fact because none of us grow our own herbs. We all depend on the so-called herbs in quotation that is regulated by the system, that we use as a method of healing people. So we have to be cognizant of all of that when we are looking at this, and that is why Spirit of Prophecy tells us that we need not be in the city.
Amen.
Some of us need to be here to work the city, But if some of us had moved out and is somewhere else, we could be harvesting herbs that are grown wild in soil that are rich in nutrients. And this, we could support each other. You work the city, you're a medical missionary, I supply you with this, you use this in the city, and we develop that relationship, and somehow we can grow as a group of people. Okay, so zinc is also another alkalizing mineral, and it's important primarily because of its role in enhancing the health of the white blood cell and the immune system at large. Because when we talk about white blood cells, we're really talking about immune system. Okay, it is also very, very important. It is important to regulate the assimilation of calcium and iron. Okay, and most of our male, we need zinc. It's very important. It's not just male, female as well, because zinc also helps to regulate the reproductive parts of men. So iron is also another alkalizing mineral. It's one of the principal minerals that carries oxygen and myoglobin. So iron or blood cells are red. They should have surface area. 90% of us after eating lunch or red blood cell have no surface area. They are joined together. They are like a rouleau, and they're trying very hard to get in the bloodstream, into the blood vessels, because we just ate, and a lot of what we eat break down. Everything goes from the brain to the stomach, and then the cells get thick because of the sugar that's in the food that we eat. And that you cannot look at it in isolation of just eating cooked foods. It's also minerals deficiency, which is hampering digestion. And if we're deficient in mineral, the digestive process doesn't occur. It doesn't start with digestive process, start with the enzymes. So if the enzymes are not there, the metabolic process is really depleted. It cannot occur. So when you digest just this amount, the absorption is this amount, and the energy is just this amount. So that's where we are when it comes to our mineral. Potassium is the next alkalizing mineral that our body also needs in great proportion, and in most of what we consume, it is not taken in. It is also very, very important in regulating the nervous system. Overall, it's the nervous system that it regulates, control growth, and the development of muscle tissues. So potassium is very, very, very crucial. And these are our alkalizing minerals. And that brings us to the end of this presentation. Question?
Yes. You were talking about the food that having vitamins and minerals, most of what we eat. So I wanted to know when we can our food, is it advice that we can food?
The potassium, and if you utilize this, it's left behind. There's nothing you can do with it, because then in organic, it's not destroyed, it's recycled. As long as it's in the plant, it's going to go around. What I'm saying is that a lot of our foods don't have those minerals, even though they are touted to be rich in those minerals because of the soil that they grow in, or maybe the water that they grow in. So that's what I'm saying. So not all is lost, but a lot of it is gone.
My next question is, I wasn't sure if I heard you correctly, but you said when someone is craving salt, that's a sign of lack of mineral?
It's not just salt. Salt is supposed to be mineralized.
Okay.
So when we take salt in most cases, if we're using regular table salt is sodium chloride and other additives. So you're not really getting anything out of that. But your body will tell you that this is what I want. When you find a good salt to use, like exactly, you will find that you might still pray for it, but it is telling you that you are deficient in a mineral of some sort, and it might be one of those that should be present in the Himalayan or Celtic salt, and you will not find it in your table salt.
My last question. Does charcoal has mineral?
I would assume yes, it should have some kind of mineral in it, because charcoal is wood that is dehydrated and activated. Yes.
My question was I did not see that in the presentation, but I assume maybe you left it just, because you put in just like everything and every single mineral. I wanted just to know the role of iodine in the body. Does it have like an importance, practical importance in our body?
Okay, iodine is very critical for the thyroid, the thyroid development. So people who are deficient in iodine, you'll find that they get goiter. But well, iodine in isolation, but you get that from a lot of even like the salt that we use, and you get that from the seaweed, and mostly those like salt seaweed. So they would have iodized salt, and they do have supplements that will supply the iodine. But it's very important for the normal functioning of the thyroids, which is very important for regulating the body metabolic processes. Yes.
Yeah, quick question. You mentioned that calcium is not good to take by itself. And you say other things that you can take with the calcium.
I'm saying it is not, when you take calcium in isolation, it doesn't function efficiently. We need, they kind of walk together, calcium, magnesium, and potassium. They are more absorbable that way if we're taking these supplements that are actually absorbable by any means, because you could take all of those and then you pass them out in the next end.
Right.
You're not going to search your fecal matter to see, oh, did I absorb this calcium? Did it do anything for me? It just come out and it's gone. So that's what I'm talking about. So it is very, very important that we get these in colloidal form, that we are able to absorb them.
And you mentioned something called tin.
Tin, yes, it's a mineral.
It's just a mineral.
It's another mineral, yes. All of these things are found in the soil somewhere out there, so it's a mineral. You could look, you will find tin as one mineral.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that you could get to buy.
Thank you.
By itself.
Never seen it. Can you explain the difference between chelated iron, for example, or those chelated
The
stuff?
ones that they call or are classified as chelated are those that they claim are more absorbable. But there's no way for us to know unless we experiment on them and do some serious research in ourselves and figure out, can we make all of these? Because if they can make it, why can't we make it? Exactly, because they give you anything and they call it anything. And all I'm saying, they get these things, they buy them as source from somewhere. Important is that we have to take our health in our hands, and we need to become our suppliers so that we can rely on, we can trust. Because we don't know where these things are coming from when we buy them in the name of copper, tin, biotin. We buy them in all these names. But what are we getting in truth and in fact? Are we getting anything close to what we claim? Or they claim to be selling us? We understand the functionality of it. We understand what it's good for. But are we really getting what we need to get? Yes.
just the other day,
Has to.
last year, they discovered that majority of the supplements out there are synthetic.
Yeah, it doesn't have
Synthetically, they have no nutritional value. It's just labeled and uses that a cash cow. But there's no nutrients in them. But as you said, we need to know the source of where we're getting our nutrients. Many of these brands, like the Centrum and all these brands, they have nothing in them. It's just the name, but the effect, nothing. No nutrient, you get nothing.
And our level of deficiency is also very critical. And then when we take things like Centrum is a combined. And when you check it out, you have 400 units of vitamin D. And if you should really sit and look at the total ingredients of every one of them in there, it's a waste of money. Because it's not helping you if you were to look at them in isolation. Yeah. Any other question? Okay.
One comment, for our health's sake. I have just been getting a strong feeling that for our health, we definitely need to move out of the city. For our health's sake.
Well, it's a good suggestion for us. But we have to understand how to live in the country.
Mm-hmm.
It's all good and well to have that desire. But living in the country is a different kind of fish from living in a city where we have easy access to all. So if we have no other questions, we're going to pray and close.
Somebody has thyroid problem, whether thyroid or fibroid, things like which goes to cases or it's just a deficiency.
The thing is, we have to understand, we need to know clearly whether it's hypo or hyper, or we can't just decide that, okay, it's hyper, or we're going to do that, because sometimes it's a combination and they mask each other. So you could do the test and you go to the doctor and tell that you are hyper, and then later on it becomes hypo and they tend to mask each other. So it's one of those disorders that is not fully understood by our medical doctors. So they sometimes might prescribe something for the person to take, but it's not. Yeah, so it's something that we clearly have to understand.
So that's mean that it's not something that is really clear for the doctor to
No.
understand.
So we have to look at the person holistically in order to deal with that. Also, we can't just decide, okay, I'm feeling this way, but today I feel this way, how do I feel tomorrow? We gotta do a study to understand where that person is. And then we gotta look at the whole picture, and then we work on it. And then it's not just the thyroids, there might be other variables that are contributing to it. The thyroid is one issue, yes, but the whole metabolism of the body is affected by the thyroid.
And it's affected by the
Hormonal imbalance, we're looking at enzyme production, we're looking at metabolic, exactly, so energy, so it's a
Lose of hair also.
exactly. So we have to look at holistic picture, and then we can.
You can decide to see how they can give medication or things like that.
Yes. Okay, so